and it's setting up through Zoom a link to the YouTube servers, and then there will be latency in YouTube because it jumps from Zoom server to somewhere else. Okay. Questions before we begin? Anything that we have? So I see that we've started our groups. So today I want to talk about our projects, how to improve our projects. The next stage of our projects, we will give another assignment this Wednesday for the third part of our projects. Our virtual agent, our voice agent, should be done for this Wednesday as well. And on the 17th, we will have our next exam. On the 10th, we'll give a study guide for that as well. And after the exams, we'll have 2 more classes, and then you will present the last day of class your project. Any questions on that? Okay, so do I have any volunteers to moderate the chat?
I can do it.
Okay. All right, so Lily, do I have a partner for Lily in moderating?
I can do it as well.
Okay, so Anthony, you'll be doing that as well. And hopefully you'll get to a quiet place. Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to sit down and get on my computer.
Good, perfect. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it so much. Okay. So let me share my screen. And in this case, I will go to, we see that we are broadcasting live. And if you look at it, you can see whether your picture is exactly centered. We can see also there's a logo of the company that is providing our services. And if I go to my what's due section here, I see that today we do not have anything, but for this coming Wednesday, we'll have our phone voice AI agent assignment. We will have Chapter 10, which is information systems and enterprise resource planning software. We'll have the readings, the adaptive assignments, and you will also have these articles about artificial intelligence. These are important articles to read through. I'll go over these today on what is AI, what are the subfields of artificial intelligence, what are the challenges. We'll talk about machine learning. You'll need to know the difference between machine learning and AI, if there are any, the differences between even machine learning, data mining, deep learning. A lot of times there's an overlap, and as well on generative AI, the benefits, the limitations, and some of the concerns of generative AI. So this is what I'll be talking about. And then the other part is everyone should have at least your URLs here, which it seems that everyone does. So if I look at 8, 9, and 10, I see of URLs. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'd like to have today, real quickly, groups 8, 9, and 10 just present, and we'll use your first part of your assignment to give feedback to everyone. And I'm going to also have my TAs also chime in. So if we can start with 8, who is 8 then? It's Devin and Lily. Are you 8? So who wants to just share your screen and quickly go over what you have?
I'll share my screen.
Okay, so Devin, if you could be so kind.
Got it. Should be sharing. Also, my laptop is having like battery issues, so if I disconnect, it's because of that.
Okay, we always have. Okay, I see myself.
Okay, I'll just hide that.
Yeah, so let's just see you. Right, simplified. Okay. So in this case, you may want to okay, that's perfect. Okay, so we have
I got
here okay, this is the idea. So you have it Simplify AI Consulting, which in a way is a good name because you're simplifying it.
Right.
At Simplify AI Consulting, we empower small businesses, so you say who you are, to operate smarter, faster, simpler through accessible AI solutions, turning complex technology into, oh, your battery's running low. So you want to maybe close and let me maybe share my,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
want you share. Maybe it'll just be easier for me. Let me share. Okay. And what's going to happen? You don't have you can't plug it in or what?
There's like
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going to be looking at, let me open it in a new tab. So I have this, and let's just go quickly through this. They have a book now about us. So simplify, we got some screen, our services. So you say we offer comprehensive suite of consulting services designed to simplify business operation, enhance performance, and unlike the power of it across every domain. So financial consulting, human capital consulting, and marketing consulting. So you're going to be doing all 3 of those, and contact us, and here call us. Later on, of course, you'll add your VAPI, right? And then you can, I have the book now, this book now work, guidance, expert consulting, financial analysis book, latest insights, reviews. Okay. What's wrong with these reviews, Devin?
They're not real reviews, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can look at it as well. Number 1, everybody clear, even though it's part of the template, which they kind of say it, what I want to do, then take it out. You understand that, Lily? So if it's not weird, we want to be real. There's no Jane Smith, and AI helped us streamline budgeting. This is not so bad because we saw an increase, right? Carl Sisson gave us clarity, blah, blah, Emily Chin. So this gets out. And about us, a lot of words here. Meet the team. Okay, so we have the meet the team. What I do like here, it's good pursuing a degree. Some of the other groups, what you did is you put, I'm a sophomore. What's the problem with being a sophomore, Lily? Which you didn't say.
I think it just makes you seem like a little bit less experienced.
Less experience, and also, what about if they look at this website next year? Hopefully you're not going to be a sophomore again, if you are, right, Lily? Or maybe you'll graduate. So in this case, is don't put anything in and put more about the college. And in this case here, major, I wouldn't put that as, like here on Josh, business management major at the University of Miami. That shouldn't be the first sentence there. And the same thing with Anna, business management major at Global at the University of Miami. That's not, do you understand that? That is not the first thing. this is not so bad. A business marketing student, I would put that later on rather than that you're a student. I wouldn't even put that as that's amazing. Oh, they're students. I don't know if they can help me. But rather at the end, I'm pursuing, by the way, Devin, who is, the CEO is pursuing, oh, that's good. He's pursuing a degree in finance and accounting. He knows something about finance and accounting. You see that difference, Devin?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, that's for everyone. So when I'm telling this, no one for next week should have, I'm a sophomore, I'm a business management major. It's good that I see that you have some business expertise, you have some theory, but what can you do for me? The key here in all of this, in the home, what I'd like to see from everyone, and I want you to even think about working it even before you go to the next one, is this looks like it's been written by generative AI. What I'd like to see for everyone is what are your particular problems that small businesses have? How are you going to solve it? Be specific. Do you see that, Lily? From here, I'm not sure if I'm a small business. Does that mean if I'm a restaurant? Does that mean if I'm a clothing shop? Does that mean that I'm an accounting firm? I'm a marketing agency. How are you going to say, help me operate smarter, faster, simpler? Give me specifics.
So do you want that like on the cover page, or would it be better to leave it under the About Us?
Well, or at least have something, or maybe even make it, what are your problems? Do you have these types of problems?
Okay.
We're here to help you. Something like that.
Okay.
Because when I start reading this, we offer so many, and here you have financial. Are you going to help them really in this?
Do you think that
I don't know. I'm asking you a question. You say simplify consulting using advanced AI to automate financial workflows, optimize profit. Are you going to actually do this?
that would
Unlock
sound
human
better?
potential?
That's like what I was planning on when I wrote it, but I don't know if it's kind of like a lot to tackle in the time that we have.
It seems like I would at least break them down to simpler things.
Okay.
Unlock human potential, create productive. So I would tell you in this unlock, how are you going to unlock it? Human capital consulting, I guess that means what? I don't even know what that means.
That's more so about like hiring candidates that are more fit for like what they're looking for. So
Does that say that?
No.
Okay, you understand?
Yeah.
You have to work together as a team and say, what services can we provide? And does this say this? Because this is all grammatically correct. You agree with me, Lily?
Yes.
But I know that, Daniel, what do you like to call it? AI slop? What do you call it, Daniel?
Yeah, AI slop,
Meaning what?
meaning it just doesn't sound like real text or anything. Like people read it and immediately they know what it is.
Right. That's what I want. Do you understand that, Lily? You have to go. It's fine for the first draft. Let's get something down there. I'm not disagreeing. But now for Wednesday, what I'd like you to even do is before Wednesday, you just sit down as a group and say, okay, what are we going to provide? What services can we provide? This is a project that's real, not made up in the sky. So there, number one, can't be any false recommendations. Basically, I don't want bull.
Okay.
I want it to be authentic. And in marketing, what are you going to do? From automated campaigns to predictive analytics, we help small businesses reach out the right audience at the right time with impacts that last.
So for marketing, I thought of two things. Like I saw this AI website that like just generates campaigns. So it's like more
Okay.
easier to do that, obviously. And then also like market research is like more accessible with AI.
Okay. So you have to be specific. Almost like give maybe another section where you had those reviews. These are problems that you could have. This is how we're going to solve it.
Okay.
These are services we can solve.
Okay.
Everybody with me? I give you, take me in. I may sound a bit harsh on this, but what I'm doing for you, Lily, is the exact same thing that every group will have the same issue there. So if I go to Kendall, Cameron, Bobby, right, and I look and open a new tab, you guys can give me the same point here, right? Transforming ideas into successful businesses, simplifying the startup process. So Bobby, is this yours? Group?
This is our group.
Okay. One of the things, can you read this clearly about us?
I mean, I can, but like we could do black text to make it big.
Yeah, right. You can figure, you don't need me to tell you that, right?
Mhm.
This needs to look good. And the thing is that white on gray is very hard to read. And also it's a lot of words, doesn't it? The launch consulting dedicated simplifying the startup process for entrepreneurs. So this is for, you're just going to do startups, helping them do what?
We really want to,
Integrating.
yeah, we want to like help them get through the process of like turning their like idea into like an actual company. So like helping them with like all the aspects that like you need to have a company. So like your mission
So
statement.
they're going to have like a
planning.
checklist, or this needs to be worked up.
Okay, yeah.
You agree with me? If I read that, if somebody read that, first of all, startup process for entrepreneurs, I don't know what the startup process is from the, I have a company. Am I too late for you? Which part?
Yeah, no, we're gonna like work with like all like
You understand?
newer companies.
Everybody understands this, right?
Mhm.
And free consultation, everything's going to be free here, but what are you going to do? Is this really what you're going to do? Or this is kind of like,
This was just like
this
to
what
get
came
started,
with the
yeah.
template, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. We got something done, but everybody realized your services should be real services, what you can actually give.
Yeah,
And then
we're-
book a consultation, right? And then we got this, right, where we can book a consultation, right? And it's the same thing of projects. I don't need to go through this, right? Project one, our second paragraph, blah, 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 reflects.
yeah,
So
this
for
was part of-
Wednesday, everybody understand that? Wednesday, go back and say, okay, what is real? What are the problems I'm trying to solve? And how can I help you? How can you help me? And then on the team, everybody understands the team. And it's the same thing where I'm having Jack and Ryan, Jamie, and Erwin. AI employee, which is good. And then what is this for? So Jack, tell me what this is for.
Yeah, that's like supposed to be our logo, I guess.
I know, but what is your, so if I come here,
Oh.
find the fit that feels right. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
It's supposed to help people like early professionals in the job search.
Okay, exactly what you're telling me needs to say it here. Does it say that?
If you scroll down, it's our mission statement is like right
Yeah,
below.
okay, find the fit that, okay. Our mission is to empower job seekers. Which job seekers? What type of job seekers? And then it may even be that question of our mission, what we offer, resume. So this is a little bit better, that we offer resume building preparation, we give, like, we're giving coaching. And how are we doing that? How are we going to do that?
Oh, it's gonna be like it's like a personalized, so like helping you giving you like practice questions, helping you practice.
So I'm going to go to you and you're going to give, there's going to be a bot there that I'm going to practice with, or you're going to
Yeah.
teach me how to use a bot. This needs to be kind of figured out, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And job seeking, and what kind of jobs how are you going to do this job seeking? Are you going to be like an Indeed, or are you going to have seminars, or what type of, you're going to just have students that were looking for internships, or students that graduated already, or students that are not? Same idea, right here, our team, I don't have to tell you, right, Jack?
Yeah.
Right. At least we got something. But let me just make sure that, is this, so how could we then Jack, if we looked at it, how could we then summarize by Wednesday, what your site should look like? What needs to be changed?
We need
This would be
to
for everybody.
like get like a better idea of like be more detailed about our services, about like the mission statement, who our target audience is.
Yeah.
And also,
Basically, you have to get together with your group and say, what services are we capable of providing? And
Yeah.
what questions do people, and who is our audience? And
yeah,
once we have that, then it's done. And then all the team stuff and descriptions of everybody. Who cares that you're a sophomore at the university? Later on is what do you do for the company? And then later on is also studying finance and accounting or something like that. I would take off. Nobody needs to be a sophomore, or even if you were a senior, the next year you're going to be something else. Studied, finance and accounting. Clear? Questions? Bobby, is that clear? And then it should look good, right? That you should be able to read it. And it shouldn't just be, hey, it's great that AI to get it up and running quick and dirty. But after that, what humans need to still do, it's not good enough, is then to delve in to what problems are you trying to solve and what services are you going to actually give. And you guys can give great services. And like you were saying, Lily, you found some things that you could possibly give upon those. Right, Lily?
Yeah.
So state those as possibilities of what you're going to do. And then later on, just so you know, for Wednesday, we'll have another assignment where you will then give examples based on videos of what types of services you'll provide. If it's certain software, right, you'll have as well. And you'll go into depth about it. But for Wednesday, I want everybody to look at it and say, let me now say it clearly. What are the problems are we trying to solve? And how are we going to do that for you? Great. Okay. Now let's talk about artificial intelligence. And let me share my screen with you. And I'll go back to my content here with my assignments. And if I look at my Wiley Plus, I know it's under artificial intelligence. I know that it's an introduction to artificial intelligence that I have. I can use the Wiley Plus additions, right? And when Wiley Plus is basically, I think about artificial intelligence is coming from computer science, and we define it is we want the computer to perform tasks that usually a human does. And we define AI in terms of tasks, a lot of times how humans perform rather than how they think. It's what they're performing. And you have always, in the past couple of years, have used artificial intelligence. But really, when we're thinking about the signs of artificial intelligence, is the idea that we expect in natural intelligence that we can learn. And then you also have PowerPoints that you can review. And in the PowerPoints you can review, you can think about it, is we have this as our next exam where we're going to talk about the limitations of artificial intelligence. And we can even see that it will be getting better and better, but there are some differentiations. And there's ways in which we'll talk about artificial intelligence and how we train it. Sometimes we train it in a supervised manner, sometimes semi-supervised, meaning that it's partly with still a human. Sometimes we give it its data and we say, we basically train the models and say, based on this data, find patterns on the computer on its own. We talk about reinforcement of making trial and error and giving it feedback. And of course, we talk about deeper learning when we think about computer vision, basically natural language processing. So these are topics that are important that the chapter covers. So you can think about it, Wiley will cover in machine learning, neural networks, artificial intelligence applications, and in the fundamental process. And then when you think about that theory of artificial intelligence and the development of artificial intelligence models, is that it's able to perform certain tasks that normally require what? Our own intelligence. And there's something called a Turing test, which was done by a computer scientist, and his methods were sometimes to have a computer give the advice, and sometimes a human will give the answer and the advice. And the Turing test would be, would another human be able to differentiate, was this answered by a human or was this answered by a program? Many times when I'm looking at that first draft of our websites, I can tell, and you probably can tell, that it was written by a computer program. So the ideas, we'll also talk about weak AI and strong AI. Mostly what we've been using, and when we're thinking about ChatGPT, is what we call weak AI. It's doing some tasks, but it really doesn't have some consciousness and some essence. Sometimes when I'm even speaking with ChatGPTs, I get the idea, if we go to a certain level, that it is not that intelligent. So you can see this is changing. This table right here, and you'll probably need this for our, if we look at it, for our exams, is you can think about this, not artificial intelligence is getting better as we go through it. And the amount of money that companies, you can see it, the billions companies are spending on the resources, is because it's getting better and it needs more resources to do so many billions of transactions. But you can think about what is really good about artificial intelligence is when I have in an organization, when I have certain people that are really smart, that have the knowledge, the problem is they leave my organization. Many times I lose their natural intelligence, but artificial intelligence becomes permanent. Another problem with getting my natural intelligence from my employees, that many times it's difficult and time consuming to get their knowledge into a database. And when I have AI, it's going to be easier and it's going to be faster. Sometimes the total cost can be erratic based on who I have. The documentation process is going to be, when it's manual, it's going to be more difficult. Creativity, here it says low and uninspired. This is going to get better. So many parts of the artificial intelligence, I think it's going to get better. The sensory experiences, that basically humans still have above this, but it's going to get better. Recognizing patterns and relationships, it depends. Many times if it's huge number of data, I think machine learning in a lot of cases can be much better than people, depending on what it is. And reasoning, usually the reasoning may be okay when it's narrowed and focused. So these are kind of areas that you need to look at for the differences of artificial intelligence. So these are slides that I suggest you can go through, areas explaining the difference between expert systems, machine learning, and deep learning. In expert systems travel with a domain name. So if we were talking with Devin before where he says finance and accounting, basically I could get expertise from a tax accountant that deals with small businesses in the restaurant industry, right? I would then create an expert system just to transfer that expertise from a domain expert. And those expert systems can then take that enormous amount of data and perform better than a novice accountant in the tax area of the restaurant business. So that's part of what they do in terms of expert systems. And basically, if I think about it, is the expert system problem is I have human experts and I want to transfer their expertise. I need the experts to explain their reasoning process, because if I ask, let's say, a wealth manager, should I invest in, let's say, in Meta, many times I want to ask them the question why. That question why is the reasoning possibilities, those reasoning cases in that. And where does machine learning come in? Well, machine learning, when I think about machine learning, let me just think about it. What's the difference between machine learning and regular traditional computing? Stephen, if I think about machine learning, what could you say the machine does versus just a regular spreadsheet? What's the difference?
The machine can, on its own, like with its own, like what it knows, it can do a better job of sorting and analyzing your data instead of just like you could just type it into a spreadsheet that's not doing as much.
Okay. If I give a formula, Stephen, to a spreadsheet, right? Stephen, you know spreadsheets. If I give a formula to the spreadsheet and we give it a wrong formula, will I get the wrong answer every time?
Yeah, if the spreadsheet has the wrong formula, it won't know that it's wrong.
Right. In machine learning, what we think about learning, what do you think about learning, Peyton, is what? That we're going to learn from what? Our mistakes, right? When we make a mistake in learning, right, we won't make the same mistake twice. We'll learn. That's humans. So machine, the word learning means that it will get better given feedback. So there's different parts of machine learning. One part is called supervised machine learning. And the most common machine learning application is in the banking business. And that's credit cards. Who's ever been called by a credit card company about a transaction? Has anybody ever been called by a bank? Reagan, have you ever been called by a bank? Why did somebody call you?
When I was in high school, I used to travel a lot for volleyball, and I took my card with me one time, and I used it in Las Vegas, and it flagged it, and they called me.
Okay, and why did they flag you? Where were you living at the time, Reagan?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. So what? It was a pattern that Reagan, right, is usually in Philadelphia. All of a sudden, we see a transaction in Las Vegas. Banks were one of the first to start with machine learning. Why? When somebody, Reagan, takes your credit card number and uses it without you knowing it, are you responsible for all their charges? Let's say they go on a spending spree, $10,000, take Reagan's card, and even we know the 3-digit, number in the back, right? They always ask you that. Are you responsible, Reagan?
I guess if you don't dispute it or try and say
Well,
that it was
are you
fraud, then
responsible
yes.
if a false, all of a sudden you see you got a $10,000 charge, right? And you say, hey, I wasn't there. I never made that charge. Are you responsible? What do you
I
think?
guess so.
What do you
I don't know.
think?
I've never been in that
Steven?
situation before.
I know, we need to know this. We need to know this in real life. It's like a real life problem. Stephen, what do you think?
No,
Are you-
if you tell your bank that it wasn't you and they can like kind of confirm that with their machine learning, then they'll like delete the charge
They
from your
don't even
account.
have to confirm that with machine learning. In that case, they know that in this case, they know that you disputed. I was never at Las Vegas, let's say it was in Russia or in Las Vegas. I never made that purchase. The banks, it's good to know, Reagan, you are not responsible for any violation. So what do the banks do whenever somebody is basically taking the credit cards? There's something called PCI. Everybody, you can write that down. PCI, payment card industry, that the banks have to say, we will do in not only the banks, but the people using basically having the credit card, taking your credit cards, have to say, we will then store your data in a proper way. And the customer is not responsible for fraudulent transactions. So if they're not responsible, Reagan, the banks are responsible. Don't you think the banks are going to spend millions of dollars to make sure that they can detect fraudulent transactions? So that's why, Reagan, they were one of the first to use machine learning. And what does machine learning do in training? Is they have to figure out with the machine, the human and the machine have to figure out together what makes a fraudulent transaction. So the bank knows in the past what were good transactions, right? And in the past, they have data for what were fraudulent transactions. You with me, Reagan? So the bank in the past says, hey, let's say let's even just start with a small number. I had 1 million good transactions and I have 1 million fraudulent transactions. And hopefully they probably had less fraudulent transactions than that, or 100,000. And then what they do is they give the data that the human knows what the answer is and gives it to the machine to find the patterns of, let's say, Reagan making honest transaction versus this, and they don't know the name, of course, and Reagan having that false fraudulent transaction. And they give them millions of it and they train the machine, try to find what is the pattern for fraudulent transactions and find the patterns for good transactions. That's called supervised learning. And then what they do is they take part of the data, they give it the answer, right? They give part of the data and they don't give, I as the human know what the answer is. I give it to the machine and say, now machine, you figure out what's a good transaction and what's a false transaction. And do you think it will get it right the first time? What do you think, Reagan? Do you think the machine will come up with the correct? No. But what do? We give it that supervised, it trains it each time we give it feedback and say, this transaction you got correct, this transaction you got wrong. This transaction was correct, this is wrong. And they keep on training it. And what do they want to do? Is they want to give it and increase what the probability that it's right. Sometimes it will be false positive. It will say it's a And that's happened in your case, right, Reagan? You really did go. It didn't know by volleyball that you really did go to Las Vegas. So it called you and gave you a false positive. And then it brings that transaction back to the database and say, hey, guess what, program? You got Reagan's false positive. And then they would say, okay, what could we learn from that? Did you take a flight to Las Vegas, Reagan?
Yes.
So maybe they can say, let's link your flight information with that transaction. Do we find other things that you were in Las Vegas? Did you just do one transaction in Las Vegas? Maybe you did many transactions in Las Vegas. If you did many, then it may be more reliable. Sometimes what they'll tell you, the credit card company, is if you're planning to go abroad, let us know. Right? So I won't flag you right away and stop your credit card. That's supervised. Do you understand that, Reagan? That's supervised training. Semi-supervised, it's part of it. I'll have it find connections. I'll find it have patterns on its own. And other unsupervised would be, these are my clients in my database. These are my banking clients. This is their age. This is how many children they have. This is where they live. This is their zip code. Find me some products that I can sell them. Or find me something insight unique about these clients. That's unsupervised. I give the machine data and I ask the machine, find me patterns to it. Find me machine learnings from it. Where could it be done? That's in banking. Banking was one of the first. And what is the initiative there? Guess what, Reagan, that you learned is they're responsible for fraudulent transactions. I bet you, Reagan, if you were responsible for all fraudulent transactions, they probably wouldn't have been the first to use machine learning. Because guess what? They have to spend millions of dollars on this machine learning. But for them, they could save billions. So if I can save a company billions, I'll say, okay, I'll spend it. And now they're spending more. And now, since they know already those patterns, Reagan, now they're going to be improving each time. And every time they call anybody in the class, it'll go back down and say, okay, model, now go train. This was legitimate. Or later on, when it didn't find beforehand, it should have stopped. You know, I got one time a credit card statement where it said I paid in RU. Anybody know what RU is? Instead of pesos or dollars, RU. Anybody have an idea what RU is?
Rubles.
Rubles. And guess what? That should have flagged them already. What are they putting that on my statement? I didn't go to Russia, right? That should have been flagged already. That was a mistake. And then I ended up calling them, Reagan, and saying I got rubles. And you know what they did? Immediately they cut off my card and I had to get a new card. I was upset because, you know, how you have to get a new card, you have to change, you know, different things that I have in different places that had my card number on it. But that should have been stopped immediately, that they know that Dr. Rush hasn't let us know that she's going to be in Russia. In the past, she hasn't been set in Russia. She's not teaching in Russia. But if I go every week to Russia, then they should be allowing me to do the rubles. That is a perfect example, Reagan, of where machine learning, and what is it doing? It's getting better every time. I'm going to tell the system, hey, you made a mistake. Try it again. You made a mistake. And what do I want to do is I'm never going to get 100% correct, but I'm going to get it from, let's say, 80% correct or 70% to 80 to 90 to 95%. And then later on, and then why do they call you? They're calling you that they can bring that up. And what can they do? They can call you with a virtual AI. A virtual AI can make that call. And then maybe after the virtual AI, then they can put you down. Did you make that transaction? If you said you made that transaction, I can let the AI do that call. If you say no, then I want to transfer you, probably now I want to transfer you to a human to find out what happened. And then make sure it goes back to the system. It's clear to everybody? What's the difference between, do you understand that, Stephen? What then machine learning is doing is the machine learning is basically improving time and time again, versus when I put it in the spreadsheet, it's like garbage in, garbage out. That's it. It's not going to say to me, Dr. Russ, you made a stupid error there. You made multiplication, it should be division, or your parentheses are in the wrong position, right? That the order of precedent isn't there. That's really what I want from AI, really, right? Is to correct me. Just like I want to have the best TAs to correct me. I always tell people, when you correct me, extra credit, right, Daniel? It's the idea. I'm always saying, I want to hire people that will correct me, right? And that's what I want from the AI to do, to correct. And now sometimes the AI is not good enough to correct. So that's why we need the humans, but we need in machine learning. That's how it is. And that's going to be also in healthcare. Think about the patterns that I have. I can have then radiology is a perfect one, where I can feed it what? I can feed it a tumor that's non-malignant, Reagan, and I can feed it that I have in the past. I know this is malignant, and it could be for a certain kind of cancer. Let's say breast cancer or skin cancer, right? I have something. Now, have you ever done that? I do that now. You can take your phone and you say, oh, I got something on my hand. What is it? And they always tell you what? I am not a doctor. Go see your doctor. But this looks like what? A certain type. This looks like a skin problem, or this looks like, now we can tell that it's melanoma, or that it's a squamous, or it's a basal cell carcinoma. And what we are is usually saying machine learning. What does it say? What percent am I confident on that? And what do we want to do is we know what, let's say, a certain skin cancer looks like. It has these characteristics. It has this coloring. It has ragged edges. We give it a number of things, and we can say these are suspicious, but they're not cancer. These are cancerous. Look at the patterns. And what they do is then we know what is real. We train it. Then we give it part of our sample that we know what the answer is, but the computer program doesn't. First of all, we give it the good ones and the bad ones, so the computer knows the answer. The next part is we take part of it and we test it just like you would do. You know how you go over your quizzes and say, take the answers out, so I just don't see what the answers are? Because, it may be I may randomize the answers. And that's what somebody did, by the way, on one of the quizzes. They said, I took it, I got 95%. And the next time, all I did was I just did the same letters, but they didn't realize that the random answers, right? So then they got 30% and they wanted credit for it. So the idea is we're going to give it, and then that part gets trained back and forth. That's called, they do it a lot now, looking for patterns for radiology. The same thing, they use it for pathology. Same idea. I'm looking for something. Basically, I can see what I have, probably can think about it, any types of patterns. I know how to train it. I know what the answers are. The humans can do it, but the computer can do it quicker and can find things that possibly later on would it be unsupervised, is find me something that I didn't know was existing. Somebody took an MRI and maybe the radiologist didn't even see it. This looks suspicious. So it works together, the radiologists and the dermatologists together with the machine learns. Everybody with me so far? Reagan, you got it? So now you know when it comes to life, it's the same thing when they talk about neural networks. What are neural networks? In the brain, what do we have? We have neurons. Anybody hear about Carissa? Have you ever heard you have neurons in your brain that light up? And basically, what neural networks are trying to do the same thing is basically try to mimic the brain of neurons that we have, and every neurons that we have weights. And those weights, what are we going to do? Adjust the weights of how important it is for the prediction or the forecast of the models. So that is the case. So let me share with you. Let me share here. So here, when they're talking about machine learning, you can think about life standing and retail. It's the same thing. Think about it as patterns that we have, that we go through the patterns that we do. Deep learning, you can think about Google's one of the best in deep learning is in speech recognition. We now take it for granted. It's speaking, and now it's changing from speech to text. Image recognition, I can now take my phone and say, what image is this? Later on, it's going to get better, even describing what's happening in a video. The idea of natural language processing, drug discovery. I have so many different options. This is making it quite quick because it can go through all the permutations. So you have this, and then of course you have some bias. What do we want to do is we want to reduce basically false positives. We don't want to have it waste time when we always call Reagan when she's in Las Vegas, and we should have known it. This is what we're talking about. It's either supervised learning, semi-supervised learning, unsupervised, or reinforcement. Every time it tries by trial and error, we give it feedback. So this is just like what it's talking about there. So let me just do this from this current slide. You can see this slide here. This types of machine learning. How do you tell if you're going to use machine learning? You're going to say, is the machine looking for patterns in massive amounts of data? So in Reagan's part, she's just not one customer. They have millions of customers. When they have millions of customers there, or even billions, that's massive amount of data. Then it's great for machine learning. And in this system, what they're going to be told on is you're going to be able to say, we're going to do supervised learning. And then in supervised learning, you can also have it where we talk about neural networks. And we can have it through basically supervised or reinforcement, trial and error, unsupervising, and you basically decide how it's going to succeed in any type of learning. Also, if you looked at what's due, this is important then. When you look at what's due, you can see this is one where this was on, I'm going to open it, that link in new setting. I can see, and this is what you need to read then, is machine learning, and this is my key all the time, what it is and why it matters. Machine learning is a method of data analysis that automates analytic model building. It's a branch of AI, and it's based on the idea that systems can what? Learn from the data, identify patterns, and make decisions with minimal human intervention. And you can read through that, the evolution of machine learning, why it's hype, machine learning and artificial intelligence. It's basically trying to mimic it. If you want to, you can look at the video on it, all about machine learning algorithms. What are algorithms? Basically, think about algorithms are basically my tasks. And here, the exact same thing, supervised, semi-supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement, recognition, and how do I trust it? SAS, that's a commercial here. SAS is a company that does statistical reasoning and they're basically allowing why is it important. So you see from that one, you can see also why I like these articles. So you can see these are great questions for, did you see that, Reagan, for the test? What is machine learning? What's the difference between machine learning and AI? Which industries are using machine learning? What's the difference between machine learning, data mining, and deep learning? And this is on artificial intelligence, the same idea. What makes it possible? What is it? The history, you can see it started a long time ago, and in the present day part of AI is generative AI, like ChatGPT. It's disruptive text, it's soaring around. Here's machine learning became unpopular. What is artificial intelligence? Same idea. It's great for what? Automating repetitive learning, discovering through data, how it's adapting, how it's becoming the strategy, how it's being used. And the third one is generative AI. And you can open that in a new tab. And what is generative AI, and explaining what it is and how's it taking off. Questions? Did that help, Reagan? Right? So it makes it clear of what it is. Now you know. It's basically, it sounds like it. Machine learning, it keeps on getting better versus, and then and you know now what supervised means. It's you have the patterns, you know what's and it's usually in two groups, good and bad. You know, these are the companies that weren't bankrupt. These are companies that were bankrupt. What are the characteristics that I can forecast? If I'm a bank lender, right, Reagan, I don't want to give money to a company that's going to go bankrupt, because why? They won't be able to pay back their loan. Just same thing with the student loans, right? So I'm a bank, I want to make sure that you do well, that you'll get a job, that you can pay back your loan. Otherwise, you'll be in debt, but I in the bank won't. I'll have to chalk it up to a bad loan. So they've used it all the time in banking to be able. So what do they have? They have a list of who never paid back their loans versus who paid back their loans. What are the characteristics? And maybe we can learn from that. Same idea. Okay. So, Daniel, you'd be so kind and take roll for
Would
me.
it be possible
Attendance?
for Issa to do it? Because if I share the
Sure. Oh,
screen.
yeah, that's right. Or I could. Do you want to do it, Issa?
I can do it.
Do I need to? Do I need to make you co-host? Let me make you co-host, Issa.
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Did I misheard what we were doing? Can you say that again?
Attendance.
Oh, yes. Okay.
If not, I can do it. Questions?
I'm doing it right now.
So everybody understand what I want for Wednesday. Before Wednesday, Reagan, go to your websites and make sure, does this make sense? And you'll see that it makes a little sense, but can somebody tell what services are you going to provide? What problems are you going to solve for me? And then on Wednesday, we'll give you the next version of it.
2302.
2302. Perfect. Okay. So stay with me if you have additional questions.